Should be on the live soon. Let me just in case try to get rid of all these pages in the background. Whoops, guys. I need to go there. Okay. Shalom, everyone. I'm Brother Doug with the Waken by Yahuwah Assembly. Today we are going to be doing our continuation of our previous Sabbath day studies, which we've done in the past. So we did last week, I believe it was 9 to 11 we did last week?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So this week is chapters 12 to 14. And Mom, since you have the page opened up already,
okay.
How about you start us off with 1 Kings chapter 12?
Okay. All right. Rehoboam went to Shechem. All the children of Israel had gone there to make it. When Jeroboam, son of Nebat, heard this, he was still in Egypt, where he had fled from King Solomon. He returned from Egypt. So they sent for Jeroboam, and he and the whole assembly of Yisrael went to Rehoboam and said to him, "Your father put a heavy yoke on us, but now lighten the harsh labor and the heavy yoke he put on us, and we will serve you." Rehoboam answered, "Go away for 3 days, and then come back to me." The people went away. Then King Rehoboam consulted the elders who had served his father Solomon during his lifetime. "How would you advise me to answer these people?" he asked. They replied,
You just cut out.
"The young men who had grown up with him and were serving him." He asked them, "What is your advice? What should we answer these people who say to me, 'Lighten the yoke your father put on us'?" The young men who had grown up with him replied, Tell these people who have said to you, 'Your father put a heavy yoke on us, but make our yoke lighter.' Tell them, my little finger is thicker than my father's waist. My father laid on you a heavy yoke. I will make it even heavier. My father scourged you with whips. I will scourge you with scorpions." 3 days later, Jeroboam and all the people returned to Rehoboam. As the king had said, "Come back to me in 3 days." The king answered the people harshly, rejecting the advice given him by the elders. He followed the advice of the young men and said, "My father made your yoke heavy. I will make it even heavier. My father scourged you with whips. I will scourge you with scorpions." So the king did not listen to the people, for this turn of events was from Yahuwah, to fulfill the word of Yahuwah had spoken to Jeroboam, son of Nebat, through Ahijah the Shilonite. When all Yisrael saw that the king refused to listen to them, they answered the king, "What share do we have in David? What part in Jesse's son? To your tents, O Yisrael. Look after your own house, O David." So the children of Israel went home. But as for the Israelites who were living in the towns of Judah, Rehoboam still ruled over them. King Rehoboam sent out Adoniram, who was in charge of forced labor, but all Yisrael stoned him to death. King Rehoboam, however, managed to get into his chariot and escape to Jerusalem. So Yisrael has been in rebellion against the house of David to this day. When all the children of Israel heard that Jeroboam had returned, they sent and called him to the assembly and made him king. Okay, the page. Over all Yashrael. Only the tribe of Judah remained loyal to the house of David. When Rehoboam arrived in Jerusalem, he mustered the whole house of Judah and the tribe of Benjamin, 180,000 fighting men, to make war against the house of Yashrael and to regain the kingdom for Rehoboam, son of Solomon. But this word of Yahuwah came to Shemaiah, the man of Yahuwah. Say to Rehoboam, son of Solomon, king of Judah, to the whole house of Judah and Benjamin, and to the rest of the people, this is what Yahuwah says: do not go up to fight against your brothers, the Israelites. Go home, every one of you, for this is my doing. So they obeyed the word of Yahuwah and went home again, as Yahuwah had ordered. Then Jeroboam fortified Shechem in the hill country of Ephraim and lived there. From there he went out and built up Peniel. Okay, nothing. Had a footnote, but it didn't look like it was really anything. Okay. Jeroboam thought to himself, the kingdom will now likely revert to the house of David. If these people go up to offer sacrifices at the temple of Yahuwah in Jerusalem, they will again give their allegiance to their master, Rehoboam, king of Judah. They will kill me and return to King Rehoboam. After seeking advice, the king made 2 golden calves. He said to the people, it is too much for you to go up to Jerusalem. Here are your mighty ones, O Yashrael, who brought you up out of Egypt. One he set up in Bethel and the other in Dan. And this thing became a sin. The people went even as far as Dan to worship the one there. Jeroboam built shrines on high places and appointed priests from all sorts of people, even though they were not Levites. He instituted a festival on the 15th day of the 8th month, like the festival held in Judah, and offered sacrifices on the altar. This he did in Bethel, sacrificing to the calves he had made and high places he had made. On the 15th day of the 8th month, a month of his own choosing, he offered sacrifices on the altar he had built at Bethel. So he instituted the festival for the children of Israel and went up to the altar to make offerings.
There's a lot missing in verse 24.
Yeah, a lot. I'm trying to figure out if some versions of the LXX consider this apocryphal, because the Breton does not have this. Either that or they put it in the other accounts of Second Chronicles or First. They probably put it somewhere else, because Breton does not have this. Let's see here. Or at least the electronic version of Breton's leaves it out. So the LXX 2012. Yep, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was just going to say the LXX 2012 has it. That's the only electronic version I can see that has it.
Complete Apostles Bible has it.
Okay. So this gives a whole, just to kind of skim through here what it's talking about. It's saying Right. I think where it starts is it says
Also,
um,
Charles Thompson has it.
the what has it?
Charles Thompson.
Charles Thompson. Okay. Yeah. I think it starts off where it cuts off in the Masoretic, I would assume is listen to the word of Yahuwah, or this thing is from me is probably where it stops. They listen to the word of Yahuwah, they cease from going up according to the word of Yahuwah. So King Solomon sleeps with his fathers and is buried with his fathers in the city of Daud. Rehoboam, his son, reigned in his stead in Jerusalem, being 16 years old. When he began to reign, he reigned 12 years. I think that's a typo, supposed to say in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Naanan, the daughter of Anas, son of Naas, king of the children of Ammon. Interesting. So I'm wondering. Now this is talking about Rehoboam, so that's interesting. He's part Ammonite. That's interesting. He did that which is evil in the sight of Yahuwah. Walked not in the way of Daud his father. There was a man of Mount Ephraim, a servant to Solomon, and his name is Jeroboam. Okay, so his mother was Saira, a harlot. Solomon made him head of the levies of the house of Joseph. He built for Solomon Saria in Mount Ephraim. He had 300 chariots of horses. He built citadel with the levies of the house of Ephraim. He fortified the city of Daud and aspired to the kingdom. And Solomon sought to kill him. So this mom is the reason why that King of Solomon movie shows that Solomon was trying to get Jeroboam killed. Jeroboam was seeking his life.
Yeah.
Oh no, my bad. I'm reading it the wrong way. It says he aspired to the kingdom. So Jeroboam, I guess, was trying to usurp Solomon while he was alive. Solomon sought to kill him. He was afraid and escaped to Susa, king of Egypt. And with him, he was with him until Solomon died. Jeroboam heard in Egypt that Solomon was dead. He spoke in the ears of Susakim, king of Egypt, saying, "Let me go. I will depart into my land." Susakim said to him, "Ask and request. I will grant it to you." Something is reminding me about this in the book of Jeremiah. This they might have this. I wonder if the reason they don't include this in the Masoretic is because they have it somewhere else. Because Mom, the story of Jeroboam, isn't it in like one of the other prophets like Jeremiah? I could have swore.
I'm not completely sure just off the top of my
Jeremiah would be way later on, though.
Okay.
Jeremiah
Yeah.
would be around the time of close to the Babylonian captivity.
Chronicles.
Chronicles, yeah, I think First or Second Chronicles might have this. Jeroboam built fortresses there. I'm kind of trying to skim through this here. His young child was sick, very severe sickness. Jeroboam went to inquire concerning the child. He said to Anu, his wife, "Arise, go inquire of Alua concerning the child, whether he would recover from his sickness." Now there was a man in Shiloh. His name was Achiah. He was 60 years old. Achiah is the one that brings the prophecy of the two houses. And the word of Yahuwah is with him. Jeroboam said to his wife, "Arise, take in your hand loaves for the man." I swear I've seen this story before in another place.
I wouldn't
Where
skim through it because if it's scripture, then and we're reading,
Yeah.
this is part of our reading, then I would just read it.
Yeah, I could have swore this. I've seen this in other books of the canon. I'm just trying to remember where. A woman arose, took in her hand bread, 2 cakes, grapes, and a pot of honey. For Achiah, the man was old and his eyes were dim, that he could see. And she arose up from Saria, went in, and came to pass when he had come in the city to Achiah the Selenite, that Achiah said to his servant, "Go out now to meet Anu, the wife of Jeroboam. You shall say to her, Come in and stand not. For thus says Yahuwah, I send grievous tidings to you." And Anu went into the man of Alua. Achiah said to her, "Why have you brought me bread and grapes?" and cakes and pot of honey. Thus says Yahuwah, behold, you shall depart from me. Shall come to pass when you have entered into the city, into Sariah, that your maidens shall come out to meet you and shall say to you, the child is dead. For thus says Yahuwah, behold, I will destroy every male of Jeroboam. There shall be the dead of Jeroboam in the city. Then the dogs shall eat, and him that eat, he shall lament for the child, saying, woe is me, Yahuwah, for there has not been found in him some good thing touching Yahuwah. And the woman departed. When she heard this, it came to pass as she entered into Sariah that the child died, and there came forth a wailing to meet her. And Jeroboam went to Shechemah in Mount Ephraim and assembled the tribes of Israel. Rehoboam, son of Solomon, went up there, and the word of Yahuwah came to Shemaiah, son of Enlami, saying, take yourself a new garment. All right, so take yourself a new garment, which was not gone into the water. Rend it in 12 pieces. You shall five some. Wow, this is a weird wording here. You shall five. I think it was supposed to say, give 5 to Jeroboam, and you shall say to him, thus says Yahuwah, take to yourself 10 pieces to cover you. Jeroboam took them. Shemaiah said, thus says Yahuwah concerning the 10 tribes of Israel. And the people said to Rehoboam, the son of Solomon, your father makes his yoke heavy upon us and made the meat of his table heavy. Now you shall lighten them upon us, and we will serve you. Rehoboam said to the people, wait 3 days, and I will return you an answer. You know what it is? It's restating, I think, the beginning of the chapter, because it's saying some of the same things, like the splitting of the kingdom and all that. So I wonder if that's why Masoretic left this out. Some of this was already stated before in the chapter.
Yeah, but just bits and pieces, though.
Yeah.
The whole story is not.
Yeah. So that's probably why they felt the reason to leave it out. They didn't want people to know about certain contents. This is why Jeroboam was punished and all that. I will take counsel with them that I will answer to the people on the 3rd day. I knew there was something about why Solomon wanted him killed, so that kind of makes sense now. He's trying to take the kingdom from him.
Mm-hmm.
So it says here, I shall answer the people on the 3rd day. So Rehoboam spoke in the ears as the people sent to him. The elders of the people said, thus people have spoken to you, Rehoboam, and rejected their counsel, and it pleased him not. He sent and brought in those who had been brought up with him, and he said to them, thus and thus has the people sent to me, say, they had been brought up with him, said, thus shall you speak to the people, saying, my little finger shall be thicker than my father's loins. My father scourged you with whips, but I will rule you with scorpions. And the saying pleased Rehoboam, and he answered in the people as the young men, they that were brought up with him counseled him, and all the people spoke as one man, everyone to his neighbor. They cried out all together, saying, we have no part in David, nor inheritance in the son of Jesse. To your tents, O Israel, everyone for his man, not for a prince, nor or a ruler over us. So all the people dispersed from Shechem. They departed, every one to his tent, and Rehoboam strengthened himself and departed and mounted his chariot, entered into Jerusalem, and there followed him the whole tribe of Judah and the whole tribe of Benjamin. And it came to pass at the beginning of the year that Rehoboam gathered all the men of Judah and Benjamin and went up to fight Jeroboam at Shechem. And the word of Yahuwah came to Shemaiah, man of Eluah, saying, speak to Rehoboam, king of Yehuda, to all the house of Yehuda and Benjamin, to the remnant of the people, saying, thus says Yahuwah, you shall not go up there, neither shall you fight with your brothers, the sons of Yashrael. Return every man to his house, for this thing is from me. And they listened to the word of Yahuwah, forbore to go up according to the word of Yahuwah. And that's the end of that big extra paragraph there. So it gives you little extra details, like basically why Jeroboam was being punished, what Jeroboam's intentions with Solomon with Solomon when he was still alive before he died. Seems like Jeroboam was trying to take the kingdom from him. So that's why Solomon was trying to seek his life. He goes to Egypt and hides there
Right.
with this Pharaoh's Shumash or whatever his name is.
Why do you think Rehoboam was being so harsh?
Yahuwah caused him to.
Oh, that's right.
I remember reading
That's
another
right,
place
that's
that says
right,
this
that's
is from Yahuwah, and it
Yes,
like
that's right.
Yahuwah inspired
Caused the
him
split and all
to
that. Yes.
not
yes.
just to cause the split, but they were being wicked.
I got it.
The other 10 tribes were being rebellious.
I get it. Yeah.
So Yahuwah was doing it on purpose, hardening
Yeah.
Rehoboam's heart on purpose towards
Right.
them.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Incredible.
On that note, you see that Yasharal was going to, they were going to fight against him, and Yahuwah said, no, go back home. This is me.
Yeah.
It's just
Right.
interesting because you can see certain things that we might think, that we need to step out against, but very possibly could be Yahweh's doing, and we need to step back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's his fight.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and Yahuwah obviously didn't want them really at war either. Like, he was mainly separating the tribes because of Solomon's wickedness. He had to separate them between two people. So he's splitting the kingdom, and then from that point on, you don't have a united kingdom of Israel. You have the 10 and the 2, and that goes into the I know my mom's laughing.
I'm so stupid because
the steering wheel.
When you said the 10 and the 2, I'm thinking of
driving.
The steering wheel and the clock. Oh, God.
I know where your mind was going. I know. Yeah, I know where your mind was going.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Crazy as a loon.
Yeah. So, but from this point on, almost permanently, you never have a united kingdom until Yahusha comes, and really with his sacrifice, he makes the one new man, and he brings back spiritually. Right now, I believe we at this point in the new covenant are unified. Now, whether it's fully fulfilled, no, I don't think the dry bone prophecy is fully fulfilled, but I believe in him dying on the stake for us, rising again, united the two houses again spiritually, where we're spiritually one people. Those that have been.
So you don't think that Britain and the other places that they made the United Kingdom?
No, I do not subscribe. For all of our YouTube subscribers there and listeners, I do not subscribe to the heresy of British Israelitism. I do not subscribe to that. No, I personally believe that has to do with white supremacy, if anything. That has to do. They're not the only ones to do that. Joseph Smith, if you ever read some of his weird books, like the book of Nephi, they do the same thing. They teach this whole. I kind of wonder where Herbert Armstrong gets that belief from. I'm kind of wondering if he ever had any background with the Mormons, because the fact that he gets that weird belief system, most people don't know this to this day, but if you have a background from the COG, I know this is kind of off topic, but it kind of is on topic for the conversation right now. If you've been raised in any type of COG group, whether it's the Great Church of God or the Restored Church of God or any of these splinter groups that come from Herbert Armstrong's denomination, some of his secret teachings that many people don't know because it's really not documented in a lot of his sermons, from what I understand, is that he believed in British Israelitism. So he believed not just one tribe, but all of the northern tribes went to Britain. It was this legend, it was this fable that they all went to Britain, and it seems to be supported by Acts 29 and other uninspired apocryphal literature that seems to promote that narrative. Possibly Fourth Ezra as well promotes that narrative. That which that's a whole nother topic, because that book is like contradicts itself. It doesn't know whether Israel is still Yahuwah's people or not. That book is like so double-minded. It's not even funny, but anyway, but there that belief system is a very heretical mainstream belief system that got out there through the British Empire promoting that, and the Anglican Church probably promoting that, and people like Herbert Armstrong were British Israelitism, people that believed in that, and Joseph Smith believed in a version of that. He even believed that you had Israelite tribes in America, that supposedly the Americas had Israelite tribes, and there obviously could be a form of truth historically to that, but the way Joseph Smith promoted it, it was like all of Israel is here, like every tribe somehow got scattered to one place, which would completely contradict prophecy. So what Joseph Smith was teaching was a whole nother good news. It was a whole nother good news that basically you see modern day, I hate to say it, I hate to name drop, but Mr. Khan, likes to promote too, that Jewish guy, what's his name? Joseph Khan, or what's his name?
Which
The
one?
guy that does the Harbinger, and the guy that does
Jonathan Kahn.
you like to listen to every once in a while.
Jonathan Kahn.
Jonathan Kahn.
Jonathan Cohn, I think, isn't it?
No, it's Kahn.
Kahn. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Jonathan Kahn. He promotes that in his books as well. He promotes in that America's the New Israel. If you ever read The Harbinger or any of his books, he promotes this heretical belief system is like everywhere. It's like everywhere. It's like not just in one group of a religion. It's like everywhere. It's spread out. And he was famous to start deceiving people into thinking that Americans are the new Israel and that we replace Israel. So he started to preach that whole Christianese idea of that America spiritually replaces Israel as God's people. So I just wanted to mention that. I know it was a joke, Brother Yahusha was bringing up, but I was just wanted to also clarify for anyone watching. No, I do not ascribe to that nonsense. I do not ascribe to that. And personally, I believe it's another version of replacement theology, if anything. So there's a lot of forms of it. You have British Israelitism, you have American Israelitism. I think there's been books even written about it, about the bias of it and all that. So anyway, but yeah, that's a good point to bring up. But yeah. So let's see here. I'm trying to think if there's anything else here. We have these high places of Bethel made. We have so he was making his own high priests, Jeroboam. He was bringing these high places to Bethel. He basically, out of fear, made these golden calves so people would not go back to the temple to make sacrifices. You okay, Mom?
Yeah, no, I'm all right. Fine.
Okay. Okay. Let me see here. So what else am I missing here? Okay, we got Dan. So they went as far as the land of Dan. People who were not the sons of Levi. Ooh. Yeah. You know what's funny? What Jeroboam did, I hate to say it, is what a lot of the Hebrew roots people are doing today, doing stuff in their own, not even trying to be harsh here, but doing stuff in our own way of doing things. I'm not trying to be facetious, but you see people trying to take the commands of the Levitical priesthood, place them in the Melchizedek priesthood, and doing sacrifices in their backyard and this and that. that's really, if you read this chapter, that's the spirit of Jeroboam, doing things in their own way. That he went so far as I pointed out in verse 31, he selected priests that were not even Levites. We see people doing this a lot with this false understanding of the Melchizedek priesthood. I know so many different ministries that try to make people believe that we're now priests, so we're now to offer sacrifices. Mm-hmm. It's the same exact thing. It's really no different in Yahuwah's eyes. You know, we might be deceived, but we're still doing the same thing that Jeroboam did if we do that. So this is a good warning to a lot of us out there that have been deceived by false teachers telling us that there's animal sacrifices in the Melchizedek priesthood and trying to blend the Levitical priesthood with the Melchizedek priesthood as if it's the same thing or something. But anyway, but yeah, this is a really good chapter, like that really exposes, you know, whenever we think we can, like, you know, we feel like we can, what's the word I'm looking for, Mom? Like when you alterate something.
Modify?
Yeah, not modify, but like, what's the word I'm looking for? When you try to, you try to
make it fit all situations.
Not make it fit all situations. No, what I'm thinking of is the innovate. Okay, that's the word I'm looking for. Thank you, Yahuwah. Innovate. We should not be trying to innovate or trying to do something in our own way and try to make innovations or make like try to find a way to do something that we know we can't do in a Melchizedek priesthood. So that's kind of the point I'm trying to make. So anyway, but to me, that's what I got a lot out of this chapter, was that a lot of what we see today is really the error of Jeroboam. People might not be making golden calves, but they're, you know, they're thinking they can sacrifice to Yahuwah and give tithes to Yahuwah wherever they want. I've spoken at times with mishpach out there that, you know, are actually trying to actually give actual tithes from their household in a spiritualistic way. They're, you know, to me, it's no different. If we're doing that, it's no different from what Jeroboam was doing here in this account. It's really no different. You know, and Yahuwah understands, he understands we're trying to draw to him, we're trying to be zealous for his law, but he also gives us these commands in a specific context, in a specific priesthood. So we can't just, you know, because we want to do everything, just copy and paste it into another priesthood, you know. So anyway, but that's kind of the point I was making there. So anyway, so see here. So we're at chapter 13 now.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. All right, so let's see here. I'm just going to try to see if we're going to need more than one reader here. Let's see how long this one is. Oops. Why did it go to that? 1 Kings 13.
It's exactly the same, I think, amount of verses.
Oh, 34. Okay.
Or 34, one more verse.
I think we'll pick on someone else because I just did that whole big paragraph there. I want to give myself a break.
Yeah.
My mouth's a little dry. Let me see here. See who hasn't read. I know Brother Dennis hasn't read yet. Brother Dennis, would you like to read 1 Kings 13 for us?
Chapter 13.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
See, a man named him went from Yehuda to Bethel by the word of Yahuwah, while Jeroboam was standing by the altar to burn incense. And he cried out against the altar by the word of Yahweh, and said, O altar, altar, thus said Yahuwah, see, a son is to be born to the house of David. Yeshayahu is his name, and on you he shall offer the priests of the high places who burn incense on you, and men's bones be burned on you. And he gave a sign the same day, saying, This is the sign which Yahuwah has spoken. See, the altar is split apart, and the ashes on it is poured out. And it came to be, when sovereign Jeroboam heard the saying of the man of Elim, who cried out against the altar in Bethel, that he stretched out his hand from the altar, saying, Seize him. Then his hand, which he stretched out toward him, dried up, so that he was unable to bring it back to him. And the altar was split apart, and the ashes poured out from the altar, according to the sign which the man of Elim had given by the word of Yahweh. And the sovereign answered and said to the man of Elim, Please appease the face of Yahweh your Elim, and pray for me, that my hand might be restored to me. And the man of Elim appeased the face of Yahweh, and the sovereign's hand was restored to him, and became as it was before. And the sovereign then said to the man of Elim, Come home with me and refresh yourself, and I give you a gift. But the man of Elim said to the sovereign, If you are to give me half your horse, I do not go in with you, nor do I eat bread nor drink water in this place. For so he commanded me by the word of Yahweh, saying, Do not eat bread nor drink water, nor return by the same day you came. So he went another way and did not return by the way he came to Bethel. And a certain old prophet was dwelling in Bethel, and his sons came and told him all the works that the man of Elim had done that day in Bethel, the words which he had spoken to the sovereign. And their father said to them, Which way did you go? And his sons had seen which way the man of Elim went, who came from Yehudah. And he said to his sons, Saddle the donkey with me. And they saddled the donkey for him and rode on it, and went after the man of Elim, and found him sitting on their terebinth. And he said to him, Are you the man of Elim who came from Yehudah? And he said, I am. And he said to him, Come home with me and eat bread. And he said, I'm not able to return with you or go in with you, nor am I to eat bread or drink water with you in this place. For the word came to me by the word of Yahweh, Do not eat bread nor drink water there, nor return by going the way you came. And he said to him, I too am a prophet like you, and a messenger spoke to me by the word of Yahweh, saying, Bring him back with you to your house, and let him eat bread and drink water. But he lied to him. So he turned back with him and ate bread in his house and drank water. It came to be that as they ate at the table, that the word of Yahweh came to the prophet who had brought him back. And he cried out to the man of Elim, who came from Yehudah, saying, Thus says Yahweh, because you have rebelled against the mouth of Yahweh, you have not guarded the command which Yahweh your Elim commanded you, and turned back and ate bread and drank water in the place of which he said to do. Do not eat bread nor drink water. Your body shall not enter the burying place of your fathers. And it came to be, after he had eaten bread and after he had drunk, that he saddled the donkey for him, for the prophet whom he had brought back. And he went, and a lion met him on the way and killed him. And his body was thrown on the way, and the donkey was standing by it, and the lion was standing by the body. And see, men were passing by and saw the body thrown on the way. while the lion was standing by the body. And they went and reported it in the city where the old prophet dwelt. And the prophet who had brought him back from the way heard it, and said, "It is the man of Elohim who rebelled against the mouth of Yahuwah." And Yahuwah gave him to the lion, and it tore him apart and killed him according to the word of Yahuwah, which he spoke to him. And he spoke to his son, saying, "Saddle the donkey for me," and they saddled it. So he went and found his body thrown on the way, and the donkey and the lion standing by the body. And the lion had not eaten the body, nor mauled the donkey. And the prophet lifted up the body of the man of Elohim, and placed it on the donkey, and brought it back. And the old prophet came to the city to mourn and to bury him. And he placed his body in his own tomb. And they lamented over him, saying, "Oh, my brother." And it came to be, after he had buried him, that he spoke to his son, saying, "When I am dead, then you shall bury me in the tomb where the man of Elohim is buried. Lay my bones beside his bones." With the word which he cried out by the word of Yahuwah against the altar in Bethel, and against all the houses of the high places which are in the cities of Shomeron, shall certainly come to be. And after this event, Jeroboam did not turn from his evil way, but again he made priests from all sorts of people for the high places, whoever wished to use witchcraft. Whoever wanted, he ordained to become one of the priests of the high places. And this matter was the sin of the house of Jeroboam, even to cut it off and destroy it from the face of the earth.
That story has always
Wonder
confused me.
why he intentionally lied to him.
Yeah.
Obviously, Yahuwah allowed it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It kind of just shows the character of Yahweh. If Yahweh told you one thing and prophesied to you one thing, he's not gonna prophesy to you something different, So if that
Yep.
prophet, he should have already known that, you know, it's his fault for listening to the other prophet.
Yeah. Something inside of him should have spoke up, said, "Nope."
Yeah.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Well, where'd Doug go?
Doug, I seen his arm in the background. You're muted.
I found my the problem with the sound from before was that for some reason when I put it on this pillow pad, the screen sometimes if I have the phone upright, the speaker, the little speaker on the bottom gets blocked sometimes, so that could have been the problem. So yeah, so that seems to be fixed. Um trying to think if there's anything else about this story. Prophet.
It's kind of like if a messenger came to me and said, "Don't eat pork," and then I told that man said, "Come eat pork," and I said, "I can't eat pork." A messenger of Yahweh said not to eat pork, and he said, "Well, I'm a prophet too," and a messenger came to me and said for you to eat pork. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, it seems kind of crazy.
Mhm. Yeah, see, this is like a perfect example, though, of like, especially in that situation, he knew for a fact that Yahuwah's messenger told him what not to do. This guy doesn't know him from Adam, is telling him that he's a prophet of Yahuwah. And yeah, I mean, that's a perfect example of First John 4, test the spirits. It's like, okay, now this guy's telling me that a messenger of Yahuwah is telling him opposite of what I've been told directly face to face. To me, it's kind of crazy that he actually believed the guy, because that's like, you're trusting secondhand information over what Yahuwah's actual messenger told you. It's very weird.
it's possible too that the man was hungry and he
Yeah.
allowed his flesh to speak.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure he was.
Oh,
Your stomach will always get you into trouble.
it's true.
It is true, boy. It is true.
We had cucumbers in Egypt. We had all these things in Egypt. Why did you bring us in this wilderness to kill us?
Yeah. Too much, huh?
That's exactly how they sounded like to Yahuwah, like ratty little children.
Yeah. Yeah, food is a powerful source, boy. It is a powerful source. Oh, boy.
Mhm. Yeah, so basically, Yahusha seems to be the one that actually told him to do this.
Oh, yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
even worse when it's Yahusha telling you to do that and you don't. Which this goes back to Exodus, I think, what is it, 20, I think 21, where it talks about, I will send my messenger before you.
Mhm.
Do not disobey his voice, for my name is on him. That verse. So he didn't just disobey a regular messenger, he
That's
disobeyed Yahusha pre-incarnate. So it's very interesting. Interesting. It seems like there were high places in Samaria. In verse 32, it says, Yahuwah, it was spoken by the word of Yahuwah against the altar in Bethel and against the high houses in Samaria. So it seems like Samaria became the epicenter for the high places and the mixed worship. I wonder if Jeroboam's to blame for that, and if he really caused the Samaritans to become, apostate and all that. Jeroboam turned not from his sin, but he turned and made part of the people priests of the high places. So now he took regular Israelites, made them priests of the high places. Uh-huh. And this thing became sin to the house of Jeroboam, even to its destruction and its removal from the face of the earth. And again, like, I go back to this. This is a perfect example of people that say, well, Yahuwah knows our hearts. He knows we're trying, type of thing, mindset, with the feasts and all that, and trying to do it in our own way. Yahuwah knew these guys' hearts, and he also, destroyed Jeroboam's whole house. So we should think about that before trying to do things in our own way. Yes, he does know our hearts and they're wicked. So that's something just to keep in mind. Usually when we come to the feast time of the years, usually when we come with this and where,
When we're done with chapter 13, could I just ask a question before we go into 14?
well, I think we're done with 13, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
I just started just briefing a little
Okay.
bit. Now it says Abijah was the son of Jeroboam. And this is the whole
Abijah,
scenario.
yeah. Mhm.
Now later, a few sentences later, he says, he refers to him as a prophet. It says, then go to Shiloh, Abijah the prophet. He's calling his son a prophet? Is that what he's doing there?
Or you have two people with possibly similar names.
It wasn't making sense to me.
Let me see if they at least spell it differently. It's spelling the same, huh? Yeah. So you might have had Abijah, the son of Jeroboam. No. You need better glasses, Bum. Ahijah and Abijah.
Oh, all right,
Okay.
all right.
We need to get you stronger
Yeah.
glasses.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
You need any light over there? Or?
No, I should have had my
okay.
magnifying glass.
It's okay. It's okay. No, but they're similar, but they have literally one consonant or vowel, if you want to say, is different. Ahijah and Abijah. Yeah. So yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah, it's hard too because that NIV is how big is the font? 12 or 10?
It's pretty normal size. It's not real small.
Yeah.
Because I have Bibles.
I like giant print Bibles for that reason. When you start getting into the differences in names, and it can get kind of iffy. So that's what I like about large printer or giant print translations. So, but anyway, I think we're about to do chapter 14.
Yeah.
That's a good example too. Just to end with chapter 13, this is a good example of he's not always going to have mercy on your disobedience. This is another good example too. The guy that gave in and ate. So,
That's right.
That's a perfect example of that. Yahuwah will show mercy when he wants to show mercy. And honestly, we're not entitled to his mercy. This is a perfect example of this chapter that was just read. So, yeah. Yep. Okay, chapter 14. Let me just see here. It's going to get really funky in the LXX here. Start playing games with the what the heck? Well, at least LXX 2012 gives you an explanation here for verses 1 to 20 that are in chapter 14 that are not there. It says, the substance of these verses is found in the Vatican copy after verse 24. Okay. Chapter 12. Oh! There we go, Eureka. There you go. That's why. Brother Yahusha, verse 24 of chapter 12 was so big. Okay. That's really stupid. I don't know why they feel the need to do so many. It's almost like they're trying to confuse you, these translators. Why do you feel the need to change verse numberings and what you want to put in certain chapters? That just confuses the heck out of me. And so that's the one positive. If you do have the My Sword, I recommend using the LXX 2012 every once in a while. They do have some decent footnotes. So basically what we read from chapter 12, verse 24, that big paragraph in the Masoretic is in this chapter, verses 1 to 20 is what it's saying. So, yeah, there we go. That's what happened there. So the Masoretic does have it. They just have it in a different chapter. So I think for this, just because of that, trying to think here what we could do. Let me see here. Yeah. I think how many verses we got here? We got 31.
Yeah, they're all pretty much about the same length.
I think what I'll do, because this is kind of shortened now, since verses 1 to 20 are going to be a rereading of what we already read.
Okay.
Well, I'll just read for us what's left in the LXX version, and then we can kind of expound on what we need to expound. So I'll do 14 verses 21 to 31. So sorry, guys, but the verses 1 to 20 was already read when we read chapter 12.
Oh, all right.
So it was the same. It was 12:24 that had all that extra paragraph. That's what verses 1 to 20 would be. So yeah, I'll just read verses 21 to 31 here. And Rehoboam, son of Solomon, ruled over. Go ahead, sis.
Starts at verse 1 and then goes to 22.
The verses 1 to 20 in the Masoretic version was in chapter 12 of the LXX, verse 24. So we kind of already read those contents already. By mistake, I didn't realize that. So that, yeah.
The Brennan Septuagint in chapter 14 goes from verse 1 and it jumps to 22.
Yeah, like basically, you see on my screen here how it says omitted. Verses 1 to 20 are in the Masoretic version. Verses 1 to 20 are literally the same contents of what was in the LXX version of verse 24 of chapter 12. That is what's verse 1 to 20 in the Masoretic. It's like the same contents. They decided, the LXX translators decided to put it in chapter 12, verse 24 for some reason, as like a, yeah. So that's I just wanted to explain that so people don't get confused. I have like a little footnote here, so telling me this. So the Vatican version would have had it in verse 24, chapter 12, which that's what we just read earlier before. The chapter 12, verse 24 had like a whole extra paragraph of information. So that seems to be, if I'm not mistaken, that would seem to be what's verses 1 to 20 in the Masoretic of chapter 14. Let me just see here. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me see. Sixth son. Jeroboam's wife. Yeah, it is the same story. It's the same story. It's about Jeroboam's wife and his child dying and all that, taking honey with him, going to the prophet. Yeah, this is the same story. So anyone wondering why we're not reading verses 1 to 20, just wanted to explain that, just so clarification. So if you guys want to listen to that, you guys can always rewind the study when this study is fully off of the live. You can rewind it to when we do chapter 12, verse 24, and the whole paragraph on top of verse 24 in the LXX has the same contents you would read here in verses 1 to 20. So if you want guys just that are listening in, viewing from YouTube, you could rewind it to the beginning of our study and you'll get what you would be reading in your Masoretic here. So just wanted to explain that. I just don't want to waste time rereading what we already read. So anyway, Rehoboam, so starting at verse 21 here, in the LXX here of 1 Kings 14, verse 21 in the LXX. Rehoboam, son of Solomon, ruled over Yehuda. Rehoboam was 41 years old when he began to reign. He reigned 17 years in the city of Jerusalem when Yahuwah chose to put his name there out of all the tribes of Yashrael. And his mother's name was Naamah the Ammonitess. Rehoboam did evil in the sight of Yahuwah, provoked him in all the things which their fathers did in their sins, which they sinned. And they built for themselves high places and pillars and planted groves on every high hill, under every shady tree. The Masoretic of yours would say green tree, talking about Christmas trees, basically. There was a conspiracy in the land. They did according to all the abominations in the nations, which Yahuwah removed from the children of Yashrael. Little footnote here from the face. And it came to pass in the 5th year of the reign of Rehoboam, Susakim, king of Egypt, came up against Jerusalem. So this is the guy that's buddies with Jeroboam. And took all the treasuries of the house of Yahuwah, the treasuries of the king's house, the golden spears, which Daud took out of the hand of the sons of Adrazar, king of Suba, brought them into Jerusalem, even all that he took, and the golden shields which Solomon had made, and carried them away into Egypt. And King Rehoboam made brazen shields instead of them, and instead of them, and the chiefs of the golden shields which Solomon had made, and the chiefs of the bodyguard who kept the gate of the house of the king. And the bodyguard who kept the gate of the house of the king were placed in charge over them. And it came to pass when the king went into the house of Yahuwah that the bodyguard took them up, fixed them in the chamber of the bodyguard. So we have that. Hebrew is retained in the Greek. So this is another one to Brother Yahusha's point here. It seems that the Hebrew characters here are retained in the Greek. I just want to write down that 1 Kings 14:28. Hebrew retained in Greek. For those out there that want to claim that that when you do a translation that you don't carry over the same Hebrew word, or people want to say that somehow the pronunciation changes or the transliteration changes when you translate into different languages. So anyway, the rest of the history of Rehoboam and all he did, behold, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles? So that's a good one to write down. So that's letting you know that his story is also mentioned in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Yehuda. So that would be First Chronicles that it's talking about, First or Second Chronicles. And there was war between Rehoboam and Jeroboam continually. Rehoboam slept with his fathers and was buried with his fathers in the city of Daud. And Abihu, his son, reigned in his stead. So B, and I'm assuming in the Hebrew it's not Abihu, it would be Abiyahu to be correct. For some reason, the yus sound in the Greek seems to be lacking in a lot of names. That's why I will say Abihu instead of Biyahu, but it's still coming from the Hebrew. It's still they're doing their best to keep the same transliteration and pronunciation. So that's a proof that you can't get Jesus from Yahusha. A Bu and a Biyahu is almost the same. You don't get, you know what I'm saying? So you don't get Jesus from Yahusha. Doesn't happen. So those out there that want to claim that, that's not how it works when you translate. So anyway, and there's many other words. We were talking off the record with a sister the other day that people were trying to say that words change in pronunciation. I mean, you could clearly go to the Septuagint. There's many Hebrew words that are carryover that are never translated. Like for the giants, one of the tribe of the giants is the Raphaim. It's translated as Raphaim or Raphaim. It's the same word. They don't change the pronunciation. So, this whole idea, well, it's okay for Yahuwah to be translated into Lord and this and that. No, it's not. It doesn't transliterate. It's not a translation. It's a substitution. Jesus is a substitution. It's not the same thing. Jesus is a translation of Yeshua, not Yahusha. And Yeshua is a whole nother name and a whole nother word. So that's where confusions come with that. And people will say, well, JC or Jesus is his Greek name or whatever. when you can't even get Jesus from Yahusha, quite frankly. You can't get it. You could get it from Yeshua, or at best Yehoshua possibly, but even with that, you're omitting the Hoshua, or the Hushua is being omitted, and you just have Shua. So at the minimum, you're changing the suffix at the minimum. So that's not even, you can't, basically what I'm saying is, even with the Babylonian vowel points, you can't get JC from from Yehoshua. You can't even get it from that, or modern Joshua. It's two different names. You can't. So that's a misconception people have. But anyway, so I think that's the end of today's study here, guys. I don't really have much to add here. It's kind of self-explanatory. Like I said, it's a shame that the beginning of this chapter in the Masoretic we already read in chapter 12, verse 24 today. So really, it was a very short chapter for 14 from the LXX. So it basically dealt with the people, how Jeroboam led them to sin, right? We got, they're doing this, they're bringing back the abominations of the Canaanites in verse 24 here in 14. Okay, you got, took all the treasuries. So it seems like, I wonder if Yahuwah sent this Pharaoh against his people as punishment. As it says here, and it came to pass that the reign of Rehoboam, Susa king of Egypt, came up against Jerusalem, took all the treasuries of the house of Yahuwah, treasuries of the king's house, and brought them into Jerusalem, even all that he took, golden shields which Solomon had made, and King Rehoboam made brazen shields instead of them. So now he has to improvise because Yahuwah is judging his people. Now Rehoboam has to make his own shields and stuff. Instead of them, and the chiefs of the golden shields which Solomon had made, and chiefs of the bodyguard kept the gate of the house of the king, were placed in charge over them. So you already see repercussions for Yasharal and Yahuwah using a heathen king to punish them. It would seem like. Fix them in the chamber of the bodyguard, rest of the history. And that's pretty much it. It mentions where else you can find the account of Rehoboam in the book of Chronicles and all that. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much for today's study. So, anyway, anyone have any questions, feel free to reach out to the ministry. If you guys have any questions about wanting to get access to a Septuagint, feel free to reach out to me on all the links that I usually provide on our ministry page. So feel free to private message me about that. I'm going to really try, guys, to provide links for the Septuagint and for the Vulgate for anyone that wants to look into the Septuagint and Vulgate. I'll try my best to always provide it in the description box of every study we do. So anyway, all right. Well, I guess all that's left to say is Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Have a great rest of your Shabbat. Yahuwah willing, see you guys next time. Shalom.